Good evening and welcome to the TLC Unleashed Show, Hollywood Vibes, Sports and Life with your host, Traci Lynn. I'd like to let everyone know that we are fueled and powered by SWAT Fuel, best product on the market. We're going to let Steve try some. We're also going to let our other guest tonight try some as well. So when she gets here, Crystal Santos is about to arrive. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned to tonight's show, brought to you by the TLC Unleashed Network. I would like to introduce to you tonight to the show, Steve Ross. Welcome.
Thank you, Traci.
I'm excited for you to be here. We get to talk about so many great things tonight and the event that's coming up this Saturday on the 9th.
Absolutely. It's Martial Arts Celebrity Fest.
Yay.
We're excited for it.
Oh, and look at the beautiful. She gets a standing ovation. Hey,
Yay.
Crystal, the show just started. Welcome.
Fantastic.
How are you?
You know, I passed it when I was replying to Dan.
Oh, see, Dan. I blame everything on Dan, so you might as well too.
You're like, yeah, this is fair.
Welcome, Crystal Santos, to the show. And so we were just saying how amazing. We've got an event coming up this Saturday we're going to talk more about. But I would like to talk about my two wonderful guests. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so honored to have you guys. We always get to see each other at Dragon Fest and a lot of other great events. And I saw your movie premiere this year we're going to talk about as well. So much fun stuff. Yeah. So, Steve Ross, tell us a little bit about you and who you are and what you do. A martial artist extraordinaire, coach, trainer. I mean, you've done it all.
Above. I pretty much have.
And not to mention, you have a few years under your belt, literally, of
experience. Just a few. And we won't say how many.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Throw him on the spot.
Yeah. Well, it's a mature thing. It's good.
Wisdom.
He's like,
Wisdom.
He's like, and I hate her already. I told you we have fun here on the show.
It's all about fun. And this whole journey's been fun. So maybe I should start off and just tell you about who Steve Ross was and where it ended up today. And so as I grew up as a young, scrawny little kid that lived in a very humble family, living a life that was challenging. And my father went from job to job, from state to state, and we never ended up in one place too long until the next venture. And then finally, about in 1971 time frame, we ended up in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And at the age of 11, I remember I was sitting there, and I was always bullied, by the way, just always picked on because I was a scrawny little grunt. And I remember watching a movie called Billy Jack. And I went, oh my God, that guy is cool. He's a little guy, and he's kicking butt with all these other big guys around him, and he's protecting the innocent. And I went, I want to be just like him. And then all of a sudden, as if the universe didn't hear me, the small town that we lived in was a population of 428, so that's tiny. And then just shortly thereafter, a flyer was passed around at our local school of a guy who wanted to teach karate. And I went, I got to do that. So I went to my parents and they said, we can't afford it. So I said, okay, what if I got a job at a local farm and did some work and did it? And so I did, and I started training. Yeah. And lo and behold, 6 months after I started training, the local bully came and tried to pick on me. And for the first time ever, I defended myself. And I went, oh my God, I'm hooked. And not only that, I had him on the run. And so the rest after that, I haven't stopped training since then.
Steve, I love that story, reading it, and not the part about being bullied, of course. And, I've seen so much in my lifetime of people being bullied, and it really is such a terrible thing. And when I read that, you had done the martial arts and learned it a little bit, and he came and you were able to, protect yourself and fight him off, and he ran away. And, how empowering was that? I mean, to be able to get to that point where you were able to protect yourself and stand up for yourself.
Absolutely. It is the most exhilarating feeling, and I still remember it to this day, so many decades later. But that said, that whole event, it changed my life, and that is why to this day I still do what I do. Because I want others to be empowered, to be able to embrace the strength that the martial arts has to give them. I mean, I've had quite the career, as you know from the bio, that there was a time when I was challenged, when I was attacked by muggers, and then I was able to fend them off, and that created even more questions in my young adulthood. What can I do with what's going to happen with all this? And again, I was brought in a situation where I ended up working as a bouncer and was leading down a path that probably wasn't so positive in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up leaving that path and found my way here to California in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, another change happened in my life. It all became about training in martial arts. And I was training, 6 days a week, 5 to 6 hours a day, just constantly training because I wanted to be the very best at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And as I continued to train, I participated in almost every tournament there was, nationals, regionals, world championships. And then I was doing very well for myself. And I had aspirations like a lot of people coming out here to California to get into the movies and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, after I had won the world championships back in 1986, fortunately, just a year prior, I saw that movie we all saw, Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
And then, as so happens, he and I were both dignitaries at what was then the Ed Parker championships that were down in Long Beach, and he and I were both there, and he invited me to come on to his movie Lionheart. And that was my first opportunity to get to be in the movies, and I thought, man, this is great. I'm doing the movie things. I've done everything I wanted to do. And then my daughters came along, and then that kind of directed my movie career and helped made me, more of a grounded person, because children do that to you.
Yes, they do. I know Crystal and I can both vouch for that as well.
Oh, yeah.
It changes you, and in such a remarkable way.
It does.
Absolutely.
My kids started second grade today. Wow.
I know. I saw the picture. Yay! Congratulations.
It's like cool and then kind of sad. You're like, oh wow, you're just growing, and okay. And I'm shrinking somehow. So like, he reminds me. He's like, "Oh, mommy, you're shrinking. I'm going to be taller than you. Just, it's okay." I'm like, "Oh, I get that."
It's funny. My client asked me the other day. He goes, "Do you remember when your son Joe?" Shout out to Joe. He goes, "Do you remember when your son all of a sudden got taller than you?" I was like, "No, that was like forever ago. I can't even remember because he's been, over 6 feet for so many years."
Oh my god! And did he tell you in advance that he was going to be taller than you? Like,
oh yeah, he totally did. He's
so
like,
"I'm
going to tower over you." Absolutely.
Yeah, this is like a common thing in my house. My son's like, "So I'll be a lot taller than you." I'm like, "All right, well, I'm thinking of all the chores."
Well, that's exactly right.
Good. Yeah, you'll be.
There are several things I can't reach. Yeah.
Come, son.
And another, bonus things for being parents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kids absolutely change you. To that point, that's what kind of why I'm here today, because it was from what a child said that created that epiphany in my career. Yeah. I'll never forget me and my best friend and his son, who at the time was one of my students. His son was 4 years old. He had already trained with me for about a year. And he and I were walking around Fashion Island one day, and his son lets go of his father's hand and comes up and looks at me and goes, "Master Steve, I love you." And when he did that, I went like, oh my God, that just grabbed my heart. And I realized right then and there that what I'm doing is affecting people's lives.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, this isn't about Steve anymore.
Yeah.
This is about what I can do to help others.
That's right.
And so since that day, I have been on a journey my goal is to try to help others to achieve their goals. Because I've achieved the goals that I wanted to set for myself.
Yes.
And with that said, that's why, bringing all this together for the Celebrity Fest, the whole reason we're creating this event is to create opportunities for others. Because when we were all coming up through, in our days, having some of those, there were a lot of doors you had to get through just to get to the producers and to the actors. And this event takes away all of that. Yeah. This gets you right in front of them. They can show exactly your stuff, the actors, the producers, the cast, everybody sees you. And you have that opportunity to audition even for it as well. And so the goal is just, come and live the dream, as Art Camacho would say in his book, live the dream. And that's the way to do it. We are trying to tear down barriers. No matter what's going on in Hollywood, we're trying to create this new resurgence. We've got a lot of good martial artists out there nowadays. But they need an avenue. They need something to get them where they can be seen. So that is one of the reasons why I created Martial Arts Celebrity Fest.
I love it. We're going to dive more into that. And it's just such a wonderful story seeing how you've evolved over the years and just transition. And if a lot of people don't understand what martial arts are, I just said to somebody 2 days ago, I wish that I learned martial arts when I was a kid. I was playing soccer and playing every sport, doing track and field, but I really, really wish that I learned it. And so now in my more mature years, I'm learning martial arts and I have fallen in love with it. So I see when, I see what you guys are
I don't
doing.
know better. I was raised in a fight family. So
yeah, you were raised with your dad's a boxer.
It's not, when people say they don't train or they've never done it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize till I was probably 18 that people don't have any fight training.
Yeah.
It was really shocking. I'm like, wow, that's I don't know how you're rolling through life, man. I actually beat up all the bullies. I lived in a gang neighborhood, so
wow,
they stayed away from me. My family was notorious for
good for you
not having it.
I can see that.
We're rancheros. It doesn't work that way with Mexican rancheros. Nope. And my dad was a fighter, and we were all trained that way. There was one kid. He was kind of a bully in school. It was funny. I actually, the senior year of high school, I moved out to Temecula. Mm-hmm. Everyone was Caucasian there, and I came from Watts in LA, where everyone was not ethnic. Mm-hmm. So I had a comfort zone there. Like, I didn't understand racism. I really didn't, because I grew up around Mexicans and Latinos and blacks. Mm-hmm. This was normal. This was in Asians. I didn't understand any racism, and there was, God bless the poor little couple, Caucasian children, but there was no racism against them. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand. I moved to Temecula, and everybody was Caucasian there. Matter of fact, there was something like, they say, I think there was a grandmaster of the KKK that lived out there or something, some terrible. Oh, it was horrible when I lived out there. Now it's different, thank God. But when I first moved there, I'm like, whoa. And I'll never forget, one kid, he was just terrible. He terrorized all the other children. And we got into it one day, and he said to me, I'm not messing with you. And I said, why? He goes, well, it's like this. You mess with one bean, that whole damn burrito is going to come for me. So I'm not going to have it. And your family's been known as being a little nuts. I'm like, okay, so you're going to back down from this? Freaking smart kid. Because he's right. My brothers would have come around too. So I look at that, and and it was fascinating to me, and I'm glad I had that experience, because I literally, as rough neighborhoods as I grew up in, there was I'd say I was almost sheltered in a way. Mm. I didn't experience racism. Yeah. The only thing that I experienced close to that was in first grade. Our teacher told us that if we spoke Spanish, we would all be in detention. Really? So this is an American country, and we speak English. Wow. Now, I remember that, and it was Catholic school, so, I'm all right. But outside that, I didn't understand racism until I moved to Temecula. And I was like, there was all of maybe 8 ethnic kids. I'm like, whoa, this is like, and I learned that was common America. Yeah. Like, I didn't know I was different until I went to Temecula. And then, like I said, now it's definitely a lot better. But oh my God, when I was younger, and I went to college early, and getting me to return there was like pulling teeth to visit my mom. I was like, people are a little backwards over there.
Not a good vibe.
Right.
You're
and then,
just not.
I came back to LA right away. But then now I visit there, and it's so diverse, and it's become such a wonderful community. But when I lived there, I was not happy. And then I really, it opened my eyes to a lot by the time I got to college. And then I was always into sociology and history, right? And then I traveled the world, and I have to tell people, it's like, if you really start looking into people's cultures and where they come from, where everyone comes from, you can't possibly be racist against anybody.
Yeah, good point.
Honestly, everybody in the world is mixed, technically.
That is
so true.
I have a random relative from Denmark, even though my parents are from Mexico. So I'm like, come on, you cannot be racist. So yeah, it's the bullying thing, it antagonized me, because I understood it, but from a different perspective. And my dad always taught us, stand up for the kids. Yeah. And then my dad had a rule. If we lost a fight, we were going to pay for that one.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
I
grew up like that, too.
It was like, hey,
Yeah.
kid, it's you or me, and it's going to be you.
And Crystal, the thing with you too is, you know, if they'd ever figure out that you were a real live action actor hero, she's a superhero. This woman, she is. She kicks butt for a living. Like, this is unbelievable. Can you imagine what you go back to, you know, there now, and they'd be like, "Whoa!"
Right? They'll be like, "Wow, that little thug." Okay.
Thug.
I was a terrible little girl. Oh, yeah, my mom, she told me, I'll never forget this. I was 15, and she was so upset one day. She said to me, "Crystal, it's one thing that I get a phone call that your brothers have beat the crap out of some kid. It's a whole nother issue that I'm getting phone calls about my 15-year-old daughter that just mopped the floor with a bunch of gang members. Their parents aren't happy. One kid needs new braces. So this is not great." And I'm like, well, you know, he shouldn't have started with me. I think because he called me the B word. I remember that fight.
Oh, not the B word.
And I was raised not to argue. Just deck you and explain why I did it after.
Yeah, you don't even need to explain. You're like, that's explanation.
To this day,
right
I don't even get in arguments. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna walk away. There's a bag over there because it's called prison time in adulthood.
That's exactly right.
That's hilarious.
But you know,
did you always know you were going to be an action actor and
No.
a stunt woman when you grew up?
no.
No.
Absolutely.
What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
I went to school to be a lawyer. And
Wow, I could see that too.
And I had a job at Mattel Toys. It was a great job. And I was fighting at the time and racing cars. These are my hobbies. I worked in boys' toys and, you know, Hot Wheels and games. I obviously did not belong in Barbie.
Yeah.
Barbie wasn't having me. But I was volunteering for a group called Girls Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the girls are inner city girls, and I came from an inner city, so I like to help out with, you know, troubled youth and inner city kids, because I was one of them.
Yeah.
And there was a stunt car driver there, Georgia Durante, and they had some questions for her, and they were kind of shy to ask. So I go, okay, I'll ask. And at that time, oh my God, I was so shredded. I was completely just buffed out because of fighting. And, you know, it was, so I go to talking to her. I knew a lot about cars. And so George is like, well, what do you do? I go, well, I have a great job at Mattel. And I mean, I had a great job. You ever see the movie Big with Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Yes.
That was my job. Let's just take a moment. That was my awesome job. So I bought every toy in Toys R Us, and I played with them. I was in market research.
That's awesome.
Seriously, I had an awesome job. I was just saying, like, that was an awesome job. Like, so by the way, if I ever retire, you'll probably see me back over there. So
Playing with toys.
Right.
she was just like, well, young lady, like, what do you do with your time? And I tell her, and she goes, you know, I'm going to forget what she said. Not built like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is my job. She goes, no. What are you doing on your free time then? I guess I'm asking you. I go, oh, my hobbies. Oh, yeah, the fighting and the car driving. She goes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She goes, you're not an office worker. No. She goes, so you should try stunts. And I'm like, well, I have a really good job. And I've always believed in the universe, God, however you want to call it, the divine sort of guiding you through your life. And this has been since I was a child. I believed you got your signs. I still wasn't going to listen to this lady. She's like, no, I'm gonna refer you to Rick Seaman to mentor you because I feel that that's where you should be. And I'm like, lady, I got a really good job. I mean, I came from a family. I was the first to graduate from college in my family. It was a big deal that I had such a great job in corporate America, you know, especially for a first generation, you know, American from a Mexican family. Yeah. This is a big deal. So I'm sitting here going, lady, hey, I'm good. You know, I don't live in the ghetto. I'm not getting shot at. It's fantastic. Like, I got a good job. But, you know, I meditated a lot because I meditate. At this time, I was already starting Kung Fu. And it just so happened that, and she was kind of persistent. Go, heck, I'll try it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still going to have my degree. I still have this. I mean, if I'm just going to leave, I can, you know, find another job here eventually, right? If it doesn't go in, why not? Because this is like in meditation. This was sort of just the path. So I ended up working for Rick Seaman, and he mentored me as a stunt car driver. I started in this business as a stunt car driver. No one even knew I was a fighter for years. I was just driving cars. I did test car driving. So yes, I can crash car, spin a car, 180, 360, 90.
How long does that take to learn? So all those different aspects of it.
I worked for Rick Seaman for a few years.
Okay.
And then I worked on the track, and it was, and I loved it. I was getting paid substantially less than Mattel, but I still loved it. And I had another mentor in stunts tell me, Crystal, you don't look beat up. So you're going to get hired more for acting than ever as a double. I had another producer friend who I had helped him with something randomly. We were just really good friends. And I found his dog for him. And he became my mentor, Brian Michael Stoller. And he said to me, he goes, well, I'm not happy you're going into stunts. I'm going to tell you now you're an actress. And then when you're smart, you're going to realize you're an actress and a producer. But I'm going to let you do this. Suit yourself, Crystal. This was the conversation he took me to coffee with. He's like, let's entertain this for a while, right? Okay. And he was right, and so was my mentor. They told me to go to acting classes, so I went to Stella Adler, graduated there, while I was learning stunts. I have doubled less than a handful of people in a 17-year career and fully switched to acting about 5 years ago. The last person I doubled was maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
And I never sought out acting. I just kept getting, as a matter of fact, one job, and I won't say what it was so I won't embarrass the actress. But I showed up to set, and the director said, she's hotter than the actress, more talented than the actress. She has an acting degree. Fire the actress and hire Crystal. So they fired the actress and hired me as the actress on that show.
Wow. Hello.
Yeah. They said they could pay her. She can go home. So, that was actually funny. And then leading roles, I just started getting offers for leading roles, and I never sought to do any of it.
It's amazing.
So tell us about that, because I know there's so many people out there, begging and pleading for different roles and getting in the movie industry, and stunts is not an easy thing to do, and especially as a woman, and acting and things like that. So how was it? Persistence? Was it just the right place at the right time, having talent, all those combined together to get you where you are today?
Well, at the core of it, I do what I love, which is martial arts.
Yeah.
There was an interview that I did for Martial Arts Science magazine, and this is true of a statement that I can ever make. I will do Kung Fu until my last breath, and if you understand Kung Fu, you understand that's true. The philosophy of Kung Fu.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because a lot of people that don't understand the art of martial arts and Kung Fu, so what does that mean to you?
Well, I've studied boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, and my Shaolin Kung Fu and Wing Chun Kung Fu. I ended up always going back to Kung Fu systems because they have a life philosophy.
Okay.
And as you age, it just rolls into Tai Chi, which you have something to do until you were 100. So it really is a life path. What's been sad for me is through seeing with all my martial arts colleagues and friends and family, is the ones that are in the systems that are so rough, and their bodies break down at some point, and they're left now what do I do? And unfortunately, a few of them ended up with substance abuse problems following because of no longer having that outlet, no longer being able to do what they love. So I was very blessed to be guided into Kung Fu. As a matter of fact, there was an incident, and my guitar teacher said, you really need to, I have a Kung Fu teacher, so you should go see him because you need to, I was a very terrible
Does it help to decompress? Is that one of
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Kung Fu was the right choice for me because I even did kickboxing. That was not a good decision. And Muay Thai just made me even more aggressive and mean. So that was just not helping at all.
Yeah.
So his Sifu was Grandmaster Eric Lee. And that became my very first Sifu. And he dropped me on my ass a few times, taught me a couple lessons, which, hey, never questioned him again. I'm good. I was good. It was quick. It was fast.
Lessons.
Didn't need to say anything. Stop popping my mouth. Got that? Yeah, and it really, the man changed my life, honestly. And I ended up just always going back there because the philosophy, we learn to become healers. So ultimately, we do a lot of energy work, and ultimately, as you age, you will become more of a healer, right? So there's this whole transition, and you help so many people by that. I found it to just be the most fulfilling out of all of the arts.
And Steve relates to that so much.
Yeah, I do. And a lot of what Crystal says is absolutely true. The martial arts themselves, there's a whole complete transition that you go through from beginning to end. And if you look at the various martial arts systems that are out there, you have more of the Japanese style martial arts that are very hard and very linear, dynamic tension type martial arts. Then you have the Chinese arts like the Kung Fu's and Gung Fu's, things like that, the Qigongs. Then you got the centralized arts of Korea. Now what's interesting about the Korean arts is you keep in mind the warring factors that's gone on through the history.
Yeah.
These poor guys, they've had it from both sides.
Right.
You know? So they've had to learn how to fight both sides. And the art that I've teach and been doing for many decades is called Tong Sudo. That's Korea's original martial
My
art.
son takes Tong Sudo.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
So tell us
He
what
wouldn't
the
listen to
difference
me
of
as
that-
his seafood.
Well,
by the
they
way.
don't.
It's just not
They-
happening.
Yeah. Tell us the different style of this one then.
Well, Tong Sudo, like I said, is Korea's martial arts, and we're one of the few arts that can truly trace its lineage back, over 1,200 years. Now, for instance, you'll talk to somebody in Taekwondo, and this is not putting Taekwondo down or anything, but if you talk to someone who's not who does not understand their history, they'll tell you their art is thousands of years old. Well, it's not. Taekwondo didn't even come into existence until 1960. Before that, it was called Tae-Sudo. And before that, all that came out of Tong Sudo. And there is a whole history that I could go into on that, but I'll save that for another program one of these days.
Seriously, should give a whole lesson on that. I thought, because, for some reason I thought Tong Sudo was the infused version from, like, Chuck Norris.
Oh, no, well, that's a good one. I'm glad you bring up Chuck Norris.
And I know he's a Tong Sudo practitioner, yes?
Yes, he learned his Tong Sudo from a gentleman named Jae Shin. He learned at Osan Air Force Base with another gentleman, Joe Weeks. Now, what's really interesting about this, I mentioned earlier how I said I wanted to be just like Billy Jack growing up, And then little did I know that, well, let me tell you the story about Chuck Norris and Joe Weeks and how that happened. After they got...
Cool. Sorry.
I'm geeking out. Sorry.
That's all right.
We both are.
They got their black belts, like I said, in Osan Air Force Base. And most people don't realize from that Chuck Norris, it took a few times for him to get his black belt. And he was a phenomenal fighter. And Joe Wicks, now they had a dream to come out and create a chain of martial arts studios. And what has been told to me is that Chuck Norris and Joe Wicks, after they got out of the military, they came back to the U.S. Chuck is, aggressive, wanted to get right to his plan. He goes out here. He's from Norman, Oklahoma, comes out to the West Coast, starts his karate studio. Joe Weeks goes to Magnolia, Arkansas, said, hey, Chuck, I want to go and start and see my girlfriend first before I go to the East Coast and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, he went to Magnolia, Arkansas, saw his girlfriend, ended up getting married, never left Magnolia, Arkansas, and became the chief of police, the fire department. And so thus, Tong Sudo's birth in the Midwest started there from Joe Weeks. And Chuck Norris started everything out here on the West Coast, and started the, what's called the UFAF, the United Fighting Arts Federation. And then, but they all came from Jae Shin. Now, Jae Shin's teacher is Grandmaster Wong Ki, who was my teacher. And Grandmaster Wong Ki passed away in 2004. Wow. And his dream was always about uniting the groups together, because there are so many offshoots of Tong Sudo. And there's a term in the martial arts, it's called Rupa, which means rivers flowing divided. And your source of knowledge, you got a great sifu, out of Eric Lee. You got a direct source to the good knowledge out of that.
And my other sifu is Samuel Kwok.
Oh, you got two of the top guys.
Rare. Yeah, I was really blessed with both of them.
Absolutely. So that whole thing about about learning from a source is key. And once that source goes away, what do you do then? What is your source? Well, in my case, the source of the knowledge is here now. So I'm still trying to spread that out from what I learned from the founder of Tong Sudo. So
I just learned some. It's like, seriously, that was awesome. I just learned some interesting information about Tong Sudo.
Yeah.
And in my son's school, there's another teacher that teaches Tong Sudo.
I'd like to know who he is, because I may know
Chaz Sutton. He teaches like the school kids, and he just he started studying jiu-jitsu recently and competed for the Gracies. So yeah, the cool thing about Sifu Lee is I learned to embrace all of the martial arts.
Yes.
Like I'll go travel, and I'll actually go to someone's dojo of a style I don't even know, and it's really cool the stuff I learn. Yeah. Like, that's awesome.
And it's so funny because this is my joke, by the way, and you probably heard me say this, Dave. At this point in my career, I really should just say I study the Eric Lee style because he's infused so many things and knows so many things, and I'm like, wow, okay. And I realize, wait, well, we're not in kung fu anymore, are we?
Well, that's not unlike Bruce Lee and what he did. Remember how he started off and then created the Jeet Kune Do system.
And we studied Jeet Kune Do.
Right.
And he trained with Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Sifu Lee. And as a matter of fact, and another Bruce Lee in martial arts is considered my uncle, as I'm the Ip Man family. And he was trained by Ip Man.
So you have a direct lineage to Ip
so,
Man, which is
so
phenomenal.
Sifu Samuel Kwok was trained by Ip Man's son, and that's how it's that close to the lineage of Ip Man. So I'm the Ip Man family of Wing Chun.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about what Crystal was saying is she understands her direct lineage to her martial arts, and I cannot stress enough to all the martial arts practitioners that are out there. You need to understand where you came from.
Yes.
Because if you go out there and it's just martial arts are not just about fighting. I tell my students, if you want to learn how to fight, go in a street corner and start calling people names. You're going to learn how to fight.
Pick up a glass bottle.
That's exactly right.
Blast it open.
But exactly right.
The gangsters coming out.
Well, let's just start there.
But as Crystal originally started saying, she was saying, with the Tai Chi aspect of things, how it evolves back to as we are more mature. The whole transition starts. I look at it like birth. When you're born, you start using all your muscles and forcing your body around so you can get up and learn how to walk. Then all of a sudden, there's that first major step you take, and then next thing you know, your life is evolving. You're changing. You're constantly training, working out. Then as we are older, our bodies change as well, and we got to find different ways to evolve with that. And so when you take a hard style martial art like a Japanese style martial art, or you take a Qigong style martial art, or Tai Chi, all of it eventually evolves into whatever it is you want it to be. As Crystal was saying, these people who trained very hard in their early lives and constantly beat themselves up. Yeah. When they get older, their bodies reflect that. I did the same thing because I grew up and I was constantly training for the beating on the bricks and the boards, and my whole fist used to be one big masked knuckle. And bad thing about that is, as you get older, all your joints start to deteriorate, and then you ask yourself, well, why do I do that? Because back in the ancient times, I understood you had to punch through wooden shields and things like this to get to your assailant. Well, now they're made out of graphite. You're not going to punch through a graphite shield or anything like that. Right. So why damage your body? Be wise. So I would have to say, if anything, throughout all my years, I've learned wisdom and how to teach instead of having to beat somebody up in the beginning, like we had to do back in the younger days.
Well, and this goes back to Kung Fu. Is first lessons I was taught. Healing arts are very infused.
Yes.
So there's a point where it's like your body. You channel energy, and you work. We do so much energy work. So when we work through it, right? If for some reason something is bothering us physically, we need to go into a very secluded environment, meditate, and work through energy, and we don't return to what you call warrior status until we are fully in tune. And I was taught that so young. Yeah. So, because I'm an enigma in stunts and action acting. To survive 17 years and I don't have one single pain, nothing.
That is awesome.
And you do all your own stunts.
I do all my own stunts.
She does all her own stunts.
Legitimately.
Which is amazing.
Legitimately. Yeah. I have, and I attribute that to Kung Fu.
Yes.
The stretching, the constant regeneration. As a matter of fact, last week, my son has been on vacation with his father. For 4 days, I sequestered myself last week and talked to nobody in person. And now I was in a meditative state and a healing state, and I'm preparing for a role. So what I do is I reset. Yeah. Before I come back.
Huge.
Like training, and then I go into periods, and this is what my Sifus do. We will go away and spend just completely utter time alone.
Krista, I love that you do that, and I love that we're talking about this because I think that's so important, the reset button. Yeah. And I speak about it all the time. How do you do that? How do you take that time for you to do that, because so many of us need it, but we don't understand how badly it is needed, because we have to recharge, we have to reboot and reset our bodies and our minds and get the body and the mind connection back.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you go about it, and how is that process for you? Can you share that with us?
Well, my career blesses me with not having to go into 9 to 5. So let's just set that straight.
That helps.
But people do have their weekends. Now, I say at least take one day. I will have a full day with, oh, hi, Jim Kelly.
Hey, Jim.
I'm like, hi, Jim. I wonder why he's calling me. Anyways, so usually he doesn't call me unless it's important. Hold on. Do you mind if I answer this?
No, not at all.
Sorry, guys.
Crystal's going to talk about that. And, I really want to share with people, because that's so important to take that time. Are you able to do that as well? I know you're also a father.
Absolutely. Mine's done a little differently. I learned
it was about my live stream, so I knew it was important.
Oh, very cool.
Because you're on live.me, which has a huge audience. So he's like, fix your camera.
He's like giving us good camera. What do you say? Because we can fix it, we can move it around.
Yeah, here.
Maybe Dan could take it on his other hand. Or flip it the other way too.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we want to make sure
Dan's going to be multi-talented. Two
Dan,
hands, two cameras.
Always shout out to Dan Kennedy.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks, Jen Kelly.
We can get all of us in there. That's great. So
to answer your question, many years ago, I'm going to say about 25, 30 years ago, I read a book by a gentleman named Dan Millman called Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And it said, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, a book that changes lives.
They made a movie of that too, right?
They certainly did. And Dan had it's interesting, Dan is he had a cameo appearance in it, and most people didn't even realize that. But when you read this book, it's all about coming to the very moment. And, he says in that book and many of his other books that he has, that there's no such thing as an ordinary moment. You take every opportunity that you have and you live it to the very best. Yeah. And I feel, as a martial artist, there's a term that we use in Tong Soo. It's called Mudo Shimgang. Mudo Shimgang means disciplined awareness. It's like any exercise, learning how to come back to the moment, right now, right here, not having to worry about what's going on outside, what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. That's very hard for many people nowadays. But it's no different than learning a technique. If you constantly keep reminding yourself, come back to the moment. Right. Then you can always be in a constant state of positive motivation or meditation, whatever you want to do at that moment in time, without having to worry of the other stresses. And that's done by mental focus and breathing. And so this
is what we were talking about. And so, sorry about that, but
That's okay. Thank you, Joe.
You're on live.me, by the way.
Yeah,
which is
hey
awesome.
guys. Thank you, Joe, for letting us know so that we
Jen.
can get everyone on.
Another martial artist. So what I do is I will take, so you could just take a day, right? So even if you have an office job, this is fine. You can take a day, and I talk to nobody. I go outside, and I kid you not, I stay outside all day. From the moment I wake up until midnight that night. All day. I meditate. I have tea. I only eat fruits, nuts, vegetables, like very, very minimal food. Okay. And I stay in a very constant state of meditation with my eyes open and meditation with my eyes closed. Okay. And I fluctuate, right? And I fluctuate. And I keep a pad of a notebook and a pen. And I'll write down like peaceful things, goals, things that I need to focus on, right? Okay. Or things that need realignment that I'm meditating on. So this way I meditate back into realignment and I reset. Beautiful. I have a candle there. Now I like using crystal candles, and the reason why is it's an energy perspective, right? And I like using white candles, which is sort of that embodiment of cleansing, right? Yes, true, yeah. So it resets your mind subconsciously as well. And I also feel when I meditate, I don't think about anything. I listen to the environment outside. So I listen to the birds. I listen to the crickets. I listen, and I do this all day. And if anyone calls me, they're not going to get a hold of me. Unless it's Jen Kelly. Just joking. Anywhere. Or my cousin Aaron. No. But usually, and I will have my phone out there and it'll check messages, that are important, but I really disconnected. But I don't tell anyone I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So no one knows that I'm doing this because it
think that's
allows me my
smart.
space.
Yes, because then people feel the need to almost invade that space, and then they have questions because there's curiosity, because
Yeah.
they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I find whenever I tell anyone, oh, I'm going to go meditate, or I'm going to go take a spiritual day to me, or I'm going to a shaman, or a cleansing, a healing, and they're just like, and then they call me all day long, and it's like, no, you just missed the point. The point was is that I need time for me.
or
because-
they want to come and they want to
Yeah.
learn from you, and this is fine, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
and like I
True.
don't. I'm not a fan of yoga. And I'm honest about this.
Okay.
Why?
Why?
I
Why
like
is that?
yoga as an exercise. I don't like the how would I say it? The Los Angeles version of yoga, the
Okay.
way they meditate. It's not from its source. Now I've meditated with a proper yogi from India. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a
Phenomenal.
big difference. Nanji, a yogi master, a friend of mine, I would love for you to participate with me if both of you would like to do that. And he does it here in LA,
Yeah.
and it's incredible.
And also what I don't as an energy worker and coming from Kung Fu, people they what? Oh, sorry. They open their energy up, and no one understands it in yoga. They know nothing about energy, sorta. They call it chakras. It's very cute. And so, but what happens is, like, not in India. India, they're very, very aware. Like, the yogis from there understand energy very well. As a matter of fact, I've had the blessing of working with a Sikh. These are energy masters, much like the Kung Fu masters. And I was invited to learn Sikh weaponry, which I'm going to be doing.
That'd be interesting.
Right, but they use energy, and it's why I was qualified to do it, because we use energy. Now, the Los Angeles yoga people, or city yoga people, I don't know how you call it, they're not teaching filtering. They're not teaching, because when we learn energy, we learn healing energy and utilization of all elements, right, in Kung Fu. So when I'm taking this, I'm taking it to heal myself. I'm taking it to expand upon what I am, but I'm also taking it to heal others.
Yes.
So when I give off energy, I give off healing energy to my surrounding because I am trained and cognizant. These people are not. So sometimes you get these pokes of their energy that feels like little prickles, and you're like, great. I am now next to someone who probably wants to punch the person next to them, but they're here meditating. Okay. So I don't, I guess I wish that here they would just call it for what it is, exercise and some quiet time.
Okay.
And then there's like the rare teachers that come from India, or the rare ones that are really from the base of it.
And they're
If you
connected with
you really want to connect, I recommend this. Like there's, I also struggle with the yoga teacher that is telling me to be natural and the earth and everything else, yet she has Botox and fake boobs and a fake butt. And I'm going,
Good point.
So do you believe what you're saying? Because I don't feel it.
This is Hollywood,
Yes.
LA, Southern California.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
so I honestly struggle with that.
I get it.
And I'm honest about it. I have friends that invite me to yoga all the time. I'm like, no. But
no.
and I have friends who are yoga teachers, and I'm like, you come to my house, we could do it just in my house. I got a lovely, peaceful setting. It doesn't need to involve 20 people I don't know. But it's so different though in martial arts. It's so different.
Yeah.
I can train with groups of people. And now lifelong martial artists, they believe their philosophy.
Yes.
They follow their philosophy and they stick to it.
Yes.
And there's discipline. And you know what? Most of them aren't doing it because they want to be in a TV show, or they want to, go find a husband or a wife or whatever. They're doing it because they love it. And inherently martial artists are protective in nature,
Yes, very much so.
So it's we're very aware of everyone else. We're very aware of, and that's any discipline of taking care of others around us.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare will you meet someone who's insular, but they usually started martial arts for the wrong reason, and then they end up quitting anyways.
Yeah.
So lifelong practitioners like Steve, he's helping people.
Absolutely, he is.
This is, and he's inspired people, and he's. This is why I practice martial arts.
Yeah.
This is why you won't find me in yoga class, because I'm not gonna.
Well, and to Crystal's point, martial artists, there are three forms of energy that we refer to in martial arts, which Korean is called Weigang, Naegang, and Shimgang. Translated, that means you got physical energy, you have internal energy, and spiritual energy. Now, what are those? Well, the physical energy, we all know, that's when you're getting out and you're training, working your muscles, and so on. And the internal aspect of things is bringing that focus of your breathing along with that. So that's the next level of your training. So you're harmonizing your internal movement, your breathing, because everywhere you move, there's breath involved. So do you expand on your breath? Do you inhale? Because with movement comes breath. So that's connecting that energy. Then it comes to spiritual energy. So what is spiritual energy? Is that this divine thing that's happening around us at all time? No, the true essence of what spiritual energy is a total unification of mind and body. You put that all together, that embraces your environment, as Crystal was referring to outside, when she's breathing and taking in the sounds of the crickets, the wind, and feeling all that at one time, as well as combining it with your internal and your physical aspect. So everywhere you move, like coming back to that moment, as I said earlier, that is the ultimate of our training. Being here, being now, ultimately.
Yes, and by the way, Jin will really appreciate you because he's half Korean. His mom's from Korea. He's like, this is the best podcast ever.
That's beautiful.
But
Thank you for sharing that.
That is.
From both aspects of what you're saying, because,
Yeah.
and again, people take it for the wrong reasons, and like you say, they do fall out because, there's the passion in it, and it's like your story, Steve, when you said the little boy came over and said, I love you. When I read that from your bio, it literally, the tears just streamed down my face, because I felt that moment, and I understood why you, kept going, and now you're training and teaching these little guys and
It's
everybody.
really cool.
Because
Right?
it's just, you're sharing your
He is.
experience with the world, but you're helping so many people. And we talked about you being humble, and I don't think you realize how many lives you're touching. And also you, Crystal. From the moment that I met Crystal, it's probably been well over a year.
Yeah, easily.
A year and a half maybe now, safe to say. But you exude this energy, both of you. As soon as I met you, I met Steve at the Dragon Fest this year, and just there was something about both of you, the energy that it was magnified, and I gravitated towards both of you. And I love that. And obviously you're practicing the art of the Kung Fu and the martial arts, and that's why I've fallen in love with learning this sport.
It's amazing. And by the way, I'm going to say something about branch on what he said. Recently I had someone say to me, he was having, how would I say, conflict issues with people around him because he was surrounded by toxic people.
Yeah.
He's a very happy little being. And I said, I said to him, but he was having some troubles. And I said, you might want to take a look at what's around you. And his reply was, he's a known musician, and his reply was to me, well, Crystal, it's all about internal. I go, oh, no, you're mistaken. Happiness is not completely internal. It is internal and external. Like a guitar, if something's not in tune, you're not going to play right.
That's exactly right.
And he froze, and he goes, oh, some people have to go. I go, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have no problem dismissing people in my life because of that. And I tell people this. My grandma, it goes back to a Spanish saying, if you're going to roll around pigs and you think you're not going to get dirty, you're sorely mistaken. You're going to get dirty.
So true.
Yeah.
I love that.
And my mom, if certain kids would come to the door, she'd say, you can't play with my kids, go away. Because she knew what they did. And we were embarrassed, but as an adult, I'm like, you go, Mom. You go.
Yeah, you're
and I
right,
tell
Patty.
parents, do not, look, the whole, my mom, I didn't end up in jail. I've never done drugs in my life. I don't drink alcohol. I think I had, some alcohol when I was 21. That was it.
So when you told me that too, I had so much respect for you because, again, it's that that awareness and the discipline, because you're not abusing your body, and you're just practicing this art of peace and love and respecting your body
and it's what he
your
said.
temple.
It's mind, body, spirit. It's exactly what Steve's talking about. It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, and by the way, I have something to say. Earlier when I was talking about yoga, the girls with the fake boobs and things, I have nothing against women that do that. It's good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
We
no,
do that.
I just have a problem with the ones that are like, let's be natural. I'm like, you ain't natural.
You're natural, girl. You're like, come on.
No. You can you can do it all up. I am proud of you if you need that.
You're
But
like,
if
go
you're going
nuts,
to
girl.
tell me that I'm putting my energy drinks are unnatural, and you're going to lecture me about natural, and I'm looking at you going, there's nothing natural about you. And the bleach blonde hair, nothing natural.
Oh, I have a question too. What about either of you? Are either of you vegans?
I am not.
No.
Okay.
No, I grew up in the Midwest,
Okay.
meat and potato boys.
Okay.
But when I came out here to California, I was introduced to something that we used to call fish bait. You guys call it sushi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then,
Okay, that's what
since that
Fish
time,
bait.
just like with everything else that happened to me when I came to California, my mind opened up and changed. And so
Yeah.
now I can't say I'm the healthiest eater,
Okay.
but I do eat what my body desires, but it doesn't. I don't go crazy, and I'm not one of these guys to go out and get drunk. I've only been drunk 3 times my whole life, so that's
Okay.
not a bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Record, so because I don't like losing control over.
And it
what
goes
I-
along with what he says. This is
Oh, of
why
course.
he's where he's at.
Setting the
He is
example.
practicing what he exactly.
You just can't set the key word, setting the
Yeah.
example.
Yes.
And to that point, you mentioned that little boy that came up to me. Just as a quick little story, that little boy is still my student today after 20 some odd years.
That's so
And then,
right?
one of the most humbling things that you can have as an instructor is when you're teaching classes. I had a situation that happened last year. A gentleman comes in and he brings this little boy with him. He's 4 years old. He goes, I've been looking for you for I didn't know you were still in the area. And I went, well, how do I know you? He said, well, I want my son to come train with you. Well, again, how do I know you? He goes, well, when I was 8 years old, I trained with you and you changed my life. And I want my son to train with you. And I went, just another humbling aspect of
That
just
is really
continuing
good.
on to train.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you
And that's it. Setting the example, leading
Yeah.
by example, and
I believe that. It's like and that's the thing that I always say this. I say what I do and I do what I say.
absolutely.
Period. End of story.
that's right.
And there was a situation where I had made a promise to someone, and someone else was making it difficult. And I explained to the gentleman, "Oh no, we're going to see this out because I made a promise, and you will learn how
for you.
relentless I am, no matter how
Yep.
small my promise is."
Yep.
But then, in that same token, if I know that I cannot keep that promise, I will not give it to you. And people will get upset. I'm like, no, I know that there's a possibility that I may not fulfill that, which I won't disappoint you or myself. So I'm going to say maybe, but I can't say positively.
Yeah. The Four Agreements, such a great book. I read it over and over.
That
and
is a
over.
really good book.
It's be impeccable with your words.
Yes.
And don't take things personally. Those are
That's
the
key.
and those are something I have to remind myself of daily. And they're so huge. And
Yeah.
before I even make a promise or say yes I will, I go, oh, I'm going to get back to you. And
Yes.
someone always goes, why do you pause when I ask you that question? I said, because I don't want to give you my promise and then break my promise to you.
Right.
Because it'll affect me as much as it'll affect
Exactly.
you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So we always have to be mindful of those things. It's so important. What about your workout routines? What do you guys do for workouts? Is it the martial arts that keeps you so fit, both of you?
Well, I run a lot. It's like my thinking
Decompressor?
time.
Yeah.
I love running because it doesn't. It's just me over there. And I actually, funny, people think I'm running outside. No, I have my treadmill and I have my TV and I kid you not, I watch kung fu movies and with the subtitles I act and I listen to music.
Okay.
So people wonder, how am I running? You see my post? How am I running 20 miles? Because I probably watched 3 kung fu movies. and I keep going because with the energy work, I've always had a lot of energy, which is, I think I always need an outlet for it. But with the energy work we do in Kung Fu, we're always pulsating with energy, as you know this. From most Kung Fu practitioners, you feel it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's also how I channel it. So I can run for hours and hours and hours and hours. And it's just great because this way I find that I have a hard time just sitting and watching movies. even really good ones. I have to
I can't sit either. I drive people crazy because I have to keep moving.
Right, I have to do something.
Yeah.
So this is where I discovered that being on the treadmill and watching movies was awesome. You know, and then I read the subtitles, right? And or if it's like a movie that I haven't seen, I'll I put on music. But another good thing I do that I had trouble with in Wing Chun, when I transferred to Wing Chun, I come from a boxing family, so I was chambering back. So to do the punches, it was very hard. So I actually on the treadmill discovered that I was not able to chamber back. So I practiced my Wing Chun punches on the treadmill.
Oh, very
and
smart.
It was really cool because I called Sifu Kwok about this. I was like, I finally figured out how to fix my problem, not chambering back. And when I told him, he told me the coolest thing ever. He goes, that's what Bruce Lee did to learn Wing Chun punches. He would do them on the treadmill, and that's how he practiced.
Oh, that's very cool.
And I'm like, wow. And so anyone that's switching from any of the other arts to Wing Chun and they're learning the chain punches, I recommend, practicing on the treadmill because you cannot chamber back. If you do, you'll be...
Yeah, you're off
you'll hit
the
wall.
Yeah, you're going back.
Literally.
Okay. I need to get you to teach me that.
Yeah,
I would love to learn that.
It's really great, and then you're like simultaneously working out your arms, so
Yeah,
it's
cool.
Yeah, I've been practicing the little moves I have, but just in the gym, and now my style of training's changed, and it's just like I'm in the gym, and people are coming up to me, they're going, "What are you doing? Like, what's new with you? What are you doing?" And they're like, "You look in better shape than you did before."
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
You always look fantastic.
Not like lifting the heavy weights, beating your body up. Thank you, and I feel so much better. I feel like the energy's better, and and I'm having fun with the workout.
And I have a question because I love asking people this when they switch from just working out to martial arts stuff. Are you more cognizant of your flexibility and stretching now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
110% more.
And by the way, that's so vital. And I will say, not only in research, but on a personal, I witnessed this. My grandmother was not an athlete, but she was an active woman. What she did was stretch when she woke up and stretch before she went to bed.
Yeah.
She completed a yoga Pilates class with me when she was 94.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And there were women that left mid-class. They came. It was really cute because there were women that quit midway of the class. They came up to us after the class and said, "Okay, they really need to work on this." My grandmother had fallen and hadn't broken anything several times, and the doctor said it's because she was so pliable.
Yes.
It was from the stretching. So I learned from not only research but from my grandmother the value of stretching so much in your life and staying pliable, and especially when you're older.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad. This wasn't a question I love to ask because I always like to express to people it prevents injury.
Yeah.
Like before any stunt I do, I stretch comprehensively.
You have to.
And after any stunt, I stretch comprehensively.
Good for you.
So, but it comes from martial arts.
And it's
It
so
really
important
does.
to do that. I'm so glad you touched on that as well because I'm guilty of it. As a coach, a trainer, I've been in the industry for a long time. And I stopped stretching because my workouts were 2 to 3 hours long. So it was like, okay, I have my cardio, I've got this, I've got weights, I've got this. And it was like my posing, practicing. And I was just like, I was in the gym all day, every day. And then I left my stretching out.
See, I think Steve almost gave a heart attack.
So,
no,
and I
dangerous.
did that for a few years, and I tore my groin, my hamstring, my quad, everything.
That's what happens.
Yes,
And I
absolutely
learned the hard way. Please don't do that, you guys, because
No.
I was the example for you, not to what to do. So it's so important, especially with anything you're doing, just in life, and especially longevity when we're getting older too.
Well, and I attribute it to probably why I've succeeded so long in my career with where I'm at.
Yep.
Martial Arts Art of War is a great TV show. Everything I have is coming up. May Day's coming out.
Yes,
And
look for that. What did the other movie too?
Paying Mr. McGetty's out right
Yes.
now. And then Gene Kelly.
McDonald's,
Gene Kelly, we're doing a film called The Seeker. And then I'm about to do my first Western movie.
Oh,
that's
cool.
great.
So I'm really...
What's that called? Are you allowed to tell us? Or?
that one is called, they changed the name. I think it's called Retribution now.
Okay.
What's cool about that is actually the part was originally written for a Caucasian male, and they cast me instead.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not the typical Wild West hookery role, which I was like, no. And to be a woman from Mexican descent and background that I come from, and just to be a woman and to be cast in a male role in a Western is
Congratulations, Crystal.
cool.
you know,
That's
I
remarkable.
love this stuff because, and I don't take role. I turn down roles, by the way. I turn down roles that are not empowering to women.
Good
I
for
won't
you.
portray victims. I just think there's enough of that.
Yeah.
And I like things that shatter that glass ceiling because I don't think we have limits.
Yeah,
You-
Or
absolutely.
your limits are so you put them on yourself.
Exactly.
You got it.
You
Crystal,
know.
where else do we find you on social media, and how can we follow you and your tremendous career that
Oh.
keeps going and going and going?
Thanks. You can find me on Facebook at Crystal Santos, Instagram, official Crystal Santos, live.me, official Crystal Santos, and Twitter is Crystal M Santos, because, you know, make you
Change
short.
it up a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, no. Just good luck finding me on Twitter. No.
Well, we're gonna find you. Congratulations to everything you're doing, and
thanks.
it's been my honor to be able to. I'm kind of like creeping behind you, just watching everything you're doing. You're such an inspiration to me. I can't even tell you.
You are too. I watch your stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Really.
appreciate that. So, if anyone wants to learn anything or just having a positive mindset and attitude, follow Crystal Santos. Steve Ross, an amazing man and an inspirer and motivator. And we're going to be celebrating your martial arts celebrity fest this weekend on Saturday. So give
Absolutely.
everyone the rest of the details and
Well,
where we can find you as well.
All right, guys. Well, the Martial Arts Celebrity Fest is coming up this Saturday, September the 9th, at the Renaissance Club Sport in Aliso Viejo.
Okay.
The event starts at 11 o'clock. If you want to get tickets for it, we've only got a couple of days left. You go to www.martialartscelebrityfest.com and you purchase your tickets there. They're going to be expensive at the door, so I'd advise you to get them now. But the exciting thing about this event, like I said, this is going to be a door opener. We've got Art Camacho, absolute fantastic producer, one of the best in the industries. He's going to be teaching from his point of view on fight choreography, camera angle, you name it, Art's the man. He's done everything in the industry. Then we got Don the Dragon Wilson. Everybody knows Don.
Hey,
And
Don.
Don's going to be teaching, he's got almost 30, 40 years of experience behind the camera himself, going to be teaching what he's done. We got Miss Cynthia Rothrock, the queen of martial arts. She's done over 60, 70 movies herself. She's going to be teaching from her perspective. And then last but not least, and one of the very exciting guys is TJ Storm. And TJ Storm, not only has he been behind the camera, he's also done, all the video game stuff with the motion capture.
Yeah,
I mean, you
he's
think
been
about the
great.
movies like Godzilla, and then you got the Colossus that's in
Deadpool.
He is Godzilla.
That's right.
Yeah,
come
and
on!
Deadpool,
It's-
Colossus.
Is Godzilla.
TJ is the man.
Yeah.
So, again, you can find us at www.martialartscelebrityfest.com. If you want information on me, you can go to ocmartialarts.org, ocmartialarts.org.
Awesome. We're going to be down there covering the media and the red carpet for that event and just saying hi to everyone. So we'll see you down there. We're here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm going to hand out some samples of some SWAT fuel. You can find them at www.swatfuel.com. So we'll see you next Wednesday, you guys. And make sure you say hello to my friends on social media. And we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Traci.
Yay. Bye, guys.